Hello, my fine friends. Welcome back to Destination Discourse. I am
Stuart,
your
can I
host, Stuart
stop you
Butler.
for a second? Can I stop you for a
Absolutely.
second? Is that okay? I
Well,
want to
you
try
have.
something.
So,
Can I try
all right.
something different?
Yeah. I mean, people don't know what I was going to introduce you as now, but go right ahead.
But that's kind of so I'm here and I'm Adam
hmm
Stoker. I'm here with the ever so daft Stuart Butler.
Are we going back to that? To this, like you're looking at English sort of slurs?
ChatGPT
Um,
is a great resource for old
yeah.
English
But
slurs.
if you're going to say it, you got to do it in the accent, though. So we would say daft, not daft.
Daft,
So daft,
daft,
yeah. Yeah.
banana.
Yes, exactly. Bath, all those things. I was actually going to call you. I had one planned. I was going to call you the Stokester today. So it was going to be. I'm joined today
Dang
with
it.
the Stokester himself, Adam Stoker.
Well, your last couple of insults that you
Yeah, they're lame.
tried, they've been really poor. So I just thought, man, I got to hijack this and provide some
I
value.
That's fair. That's the kick up the butt I needed. Thank you, Adam. We've been, we've been rude. We do have a guest today from the city of brotherly love. We have Joe Heller with Discover Philadelphia. How are you?
Doing
Or
great. Good to see you both.
Philadelphia CVP would be the other way to say it, right, Joe?
That's
So.
right. One's our marketing name.
Yeah, external versus internal. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And you got an interesting structure there in Philadelphia, whereas you got separate organizations that manage the sort of consumer leisure marketing versus the meetings and convention stuff, which I don't know if that exists anywhere else. It's the first time I've heard of that. So I'm interested in, we're going to be talking about the meeting space a little more, which is something that I'm certainly not the biggest expert on. And, Adam tends not to be an expert on much, so he's certainly not. So we'll see how this goes. You're going to be the expert on the show
Sounds
today.
good.
So,
Happy to talk
Adam,
about it.
Adam, I promised I wasn't going to be mean to you today, so I apologize for that. But now this is, this is very apt. We got Joe on the show because from the city of brotherly love, I'm going to show you some brotherly love, man. It is time for the greatest segment in all of destination marketing. It's time for Stu's News.
Now, in the spirit of brotherly love, do you want the whole jingle today or just
No,
the half
absolutely
that I
not.
normally
If you were really being brotherly to me, you wouldn't play it at all. But we'll do the regular one.
What do you think, Joe? You like the jingle?
Just play the jingle,
I'll
man.
be
It's not
honest with
even
you.
playing. Are you playing it? Because it's not. I don't hear
Are
it.
you not hearing it?
No,
Joe,
Not
were you
hearing
hearing
it.
it?
No, not hearing it either. No,
no.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's, you know what I did? I
officially
You
didn't
broken.
didn't share
click.
your sound. Such a
I didn't
rookie.
share
It's
the
gonna be.
sound. Yep.
Are you deliberately doing this because I want to be nice to you today? And
I'm trying to
you
give you all the ammunition
all
I
the
can.
ammunition.
Okay, I
Oh,
get to hear it twice.
it's a lucky day.
But we
My
interrupted
favorite
Joe.
part of the jingle. My favorite part of the jingle is when Adam asks the guest right in the middle of the jingle, "What did they think of this?" Makes me laugh every time.
So what do you think of it, Joe? While it's
I
going
don't know.
on,
I
he's
just like the
talking over
fact
it.
that Adam talks over it. I think it's funny.
So this is me making the classic mistake of assuming that everyone in the world already listens to the show. So I'm assuming you have an opinion on the jingle before coming on. That's definitely my mistake and assumption there.
It just makes me laugh every time I hear that. But
Maybe it's
good jingle.
subconscious,
Love
Adam.
to hear the origins.
It might be subconscious that Adam really doesn't like the jingle, so he tries to talk over it every time. Maybe you're onto something, Joe. So today's Stu's News is it's a kudos to you, Adam. So I want everyone that listens to this show to also listen to the second best show in destination marketing, which is the Destination Marketing Podcast, hosted by the Stokester himself, Adam Stoker, and he just hit a milestone. He just hit 400 episodes, which I don't know if you know this, but 400 episodes for a podcast is amazing. Like most podcasts don't get past episode one, let alone 400. So the fact that you were doing this so early and you've been consistent, I've learned so much from it. It was my gateway into the DMO world of education. When I joined the DMO world 4 years ago, I found you and I found Bill Geist's podcast and a couple of others, but your two were the ones that really stood out to me, and I've learned a lot. I've learned from you. I've laughed with you. You've become a good friend of mine, and I just want to say congratulations, and everyone that listens to this should also go and listen to the Destination Marketing Podcast. So congrats to you, Adam. Tip of the hat. And that's the
Wow.
last thing I'll say nice to you
Yeah,
this episode.
thank you, Stuart. This is uncharted territory for me, honestly. I'm not sure even how to respond to that because it may be the nicest thing you've ever said to me. But
It probably will forever be the nicest thing I ever said to you too.
I really appreciate it, Stuart. And to be honest with you, your contribution to that show was huge for me. I think you and I did that 6 episode series a couple of years ago, talking about media trends and consumer behavior and how to evolve marketing at the rate that the market is going. That was really, really important and valuable, and kind of helped shape where I've gone in my marketing philosophy and in some of my content and leadership since then. So I appreciate your contribution to that as well. And of course, that eventually led to us doing this show together, which has been one of the highlights of my career. So I really appreciate it. I can tell you that there's no possible way that I could have done 400 episodes without a team behind me that has. There's been times where it's last minute scrambling to edit to get it out in time, and scrambling to find a guest if something falls through. I mean, I don't think we've missed a week since May of 2019. And there's
Wow.
been many weeks when we've done 2 episodes, sometimes 3 episodes. And it's honestly been a pretty amazing experience. And I appreciate everybody that's listened. I appreciate everybody that's come on as a guest. And my team that I've had behind me to be able to make this happen has just been incredible. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And to be honest with you, I did kind of take a moment and say, holy crap, 400 episodes. I never thought it would happen. So really cool. Thank you.
Congrats. Yeah, I mean, you're in the top 0.01% of podcasts to be having 400 episodes. It's amazing. You were doing it before it was cool, and this show wouldn't exist had we not done that 6 episode series. Because I used to do a podcast back in my previous career, and I really missed it, but I didn't know how much I missed it until we spent those several hours just waxing lyrical, and it really reignited my passion for wanting to share opinions and learn from other people like we are on this show. So thank you, man. I appreciate you, and congratulations. Go listen to the Destination Marketing Podcast after you've listened to this episode, because Joe's got some wicked stuff to talk about. So good job,
Thank
Adam.
you.
All right, now back to normal programming. Adam, you're daft.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I should probably do American ones. You're a jackass. How about that? Is that better?
Is that the equivalent?
I guess. Yeah, kind of.
I didn't
No,
realize
daft
daft was
is-
that strong.
No, daft is more like it's a light version of silly, like not very smart, silly. It's kind of a combination of
Dumb.
not bright and it's kind of dumb and silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a playful one. It's not a jackass for sure. But all right, Joe, I'm sorry you had to witness all of that brotherly love, that both the brotherly
all
love
fits.
and the insults. But you're a Desti. You're part of the Desti Nation, so you're familiar with the banter. But let's talk about what you reached out and said you'd like to talk about. So let's start by talking about like your situation there in Philadelphia. Like, it's really interesting to me. I'd love to understand how that evolved into where this separate organizations focused on CVB, like Convention and Business Bureau stuff, and then the actual DMO stuff. It's kind of intriguing. And so it's Visit Philadelphia is the leisure, right? And Discover is the meetings. Am I right in that?
Yeah, so just like every other DMO across the country, we're different. We're different and maybe even a little bit more complicated. But I think when you throw it all down, it's part of the big challenge. So the fundamental differences are the Philadelphia Convention and Visitors Bureau, us, as we're known, Discover Philadelphia online. We are the official tourism promotion agency for the city of Philadelphia globally, meaning that we do international tourism marketing, and we're also the official sales and marketing agency for the Pennsylvania Convention Center. So our structure is that in our wheelhouse, primarily our focus is meetings, conventions, and special events, and we have a whole lineup of them for 2026. And then the other DMO in the market, our sister agency, is Visit Philadelphia, with their own funding, their own staffing model, but their primary focus is leisure tourism marketing, which includes domestic across the U.S., and obviously local here in Philadelphia. So we are a split DMO city. We are 501c6, which means that we're a membership-based organization. Visit Philadelphia is a 501(c)(3). So that's the fundamental differences. But when
What's
you
their
look at our
funding mechanism for the Visit Philadelphia? Is that bed tax, or where are they getting the funding from?
primarily hotel tax,
Okay.
hotel occupancy tax, as it is for us as well. In addition to a funding relationship that we have with the convention center, which also is connected to the state of Pennsylvania or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
And then, so who gets to sort of decide how that pile of money is divided between the two organizations?
Yeah, so that was all legislated years and years and years ago. And so the two organizations have coexisted since the late 90s. But the CVB was founded in the early 40s. So we've been around for 80 plus years. But really, it was the thought in the late 90s that there was so much attention on business and meetings and events coming to the city, who had their eye on driving tourism, tourism from New York and DC and up and down the Northeast. And so they spun off this agency and became Visit Philadelphia.
That's really neat. Now, do you guys collaborate? You, like, in terms of geography, are you housed in close proximity? Do you collaborate a lot?
So we talk all the time. I don't know if you know Neil Frauenglass. He's my counterpart at Visit Philadelphia. He's the CMO there. We talk all the time. I saw their CEO this morning on the street, and actually Angela Val, former Philadelphia CVB employee. She was our CAO here at one point. So anyhow, very close bond. I think there's a competitive nature here in Philadelphia that I think in years gone by, the two agencies maybe didn't coexist as well as they do today. Just 2 years ago, we launched our first ever joint marketing campaign. So we're both saying the same thing as far as our tagline, come for Philadelphia, stay for Philly, but deploying it into different segments and markets that we both focus on. And we're looking at other synergies to work together closer. So, as we look at 2026, FIFA World Cup, MLB All-Star Game, PGA Championship, March Madness, 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It's bringing these agencies even closer together to market all of those big events that are coming.
Yeah, I could see some efficiencies, especially on the creative and strategic side where that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the
That's
other side
awesome.
too is research, market research.
Yeah,
There's no sense doing that in a silo. Great to make sure that, our neighbors understand what are the projections for all of the different visitor types and, what are we doing? But it makes our world complicated because while meetings and conventions and special event bids are, a large part of what we do, we're also tagged with the international tourism, working together with the states. We have two fundamentally different focuses there, but the same marketing group powering both of them. So it's an interesting two-hat dynamic there.
I know you both governed by a board of directors, and is there crossover? Are there folks that sit on both?
There are. Our board is about 65 in total, so it's a mega board. It's a mega
wow.
board.
Moses.
Yeah, it's a mega
Bill
board.
Geist would have a field day with that.
Their board is a bit smaller. I think it's around 20 or 25 in total. And I'd say there's probably 5 to 10 seats that cross over on both sides. Maybe less, maybe more like 5 or 6.
That's neat. Well, that's cool. Thank you for the history lesson. I mean, I could spend the whole episode talking about this, but I think our audience probably wants to get back to what this show's about, right? Which is having a little discourse and challenging the status quo and trying to be better tomorrow than we were today. So you've been listening to the show from a different perspective. We focus a lot on the marketing side. I think we also sort of talked about it from the executive side on the leisure, but we haven't really touched on meetings a whole lot on this show. And so that's your vantage point. So love to hear what you want to talk about and share with the audience today.
Yeah, I think, I'll start with this. I think you've said it before. Like, I really love this industry. I've been in it about 6 years now, but I've had a working relationship with the CVB for over a decade before that, having worked for our local team, very well-known national team, the Philadelphia Flyers NHL team in the Wells Fargo Center, now Xfinity Mobile Arena, And so we work together with the CVB on bidding for NCAA events, special events in our market. So I had a close working relationship with them. So to cross over to, what the CVB does on a day to day, I mean, I love it. I'm motivated by it. I take all the ideas that are shared, obviously, on this podcast and see where they apply to what it is we do. But, we have an extremely narrow focus on the meetings and convention side, working together with our convention sales team. And I think we hit a lot of the same challenges that are talked about on this show from a travel and tourism perspective. There's a lot of marketing the marketing, making sure our market understands that these mega events, WrestleMania, doesn't come out of thin air. There's a tremendous amount of advocacy and fundraising that go into hosting something like that. I look across the industry and, you get concerned about the sameness, right? We're all built to host. That becomes a bit of a challenge when you try to be a little more aggressive in your messaging, but then maybe you're missing the mark because meeting planners and event strategists don't relate to the message you're putting out there. It's like, why are you telling me that? It's like, well, I'm trying to put a different spin on the norm that you see across the industry. And so, I think there's sameness. I think it's relevancy as well, right? How many events are planned without us? Without DMO involvement or convention sales involvement. So, and what can we bring to the table that, is actually free help for meeting planners, because, we're charged with, booking events and booking blocks of hotel rooms, every year. So, I think the similar challenges that tourism face, those marketers that are tasked with, assisting all of the sales initiatives that take place to book these events, they're real. I hate to say this, but it's like our marketing funnel is just as broken as the broader one. So, and just of a big of concern as that. So I'll stop there. But I think my desire to connect with you is to say on behalf of those that are marketing, these segments, that the challenge in front of us is equally as real as the broad tourism side.
Yeah, and maybe a little more challenging in some ways because your audience is a little more niche. For leisure, we can sort of be a little more spray and pray. I mean, we try to be targeted, right? And we're certainly doing things to attract the right kinds of folks. But anyone potentially could come to visit Philadelphia for leisure, but that's not the case with my planners of meetings and conventions and stuff. Do you guys have much sports tourism? Do you have much in terms of so youth sports, things like that? Do you have facilities there and that comes under you guys as well?
We do. It depends. It all goes under a sort of a room night generation threshold of
Yeah.
where our sales team will be involved. But we have a mega volleyball tournament that takes place in March and April. Hundreds of youth volleyball high school volleyball players that happen here at the convention center that populate a big need time for us when it comes to generating room nights. So we're involved in that. The sports division is under the CVB umbrella, so it's marketed as PHL Sports. So it's really a team of 3 that complete all the sports bids and work hand in hand with our.
So that's professional and amateur sports. They're doing
Yes.
all of it.
Yeah. So NCAA bids, and then we were the ones behind the bid that ultimately landed the 6 matches of the World Cup that are coming here next year.
Yeah.
So it's a tremendous amount of work, and it's a lot of similarities to the tourism side, where it's marketing to overcome perceptions of our marketplace and what our marketplace offers.
So, Joe, I want to ask you a question. You're the CMO of the organization, right? And I want to understand, as you're trying to attract more meetings and events to the destination, what is your strategy? Like, how are you making the pieces work together from a media perspective, content perspective? What are the collection of tactics and strategy that you're using to try to secure these events?
Great question. So I'd say first and foremost, we work hand in hand with our sales team, right? So we have a pretty robust convention sales team that's doing the one-to-one relationship with potential meeting planners. And the meeting planners tell us, like, we're not the sole focus. But we all report to boards and of associations, or we have corporate decision makers. You need to equally market to them just as much as us. So how do we do that? A robust content offering. Video, very strong for us, but what are we doing with the video? How are we deploying that? So social is a primary driver for that. Once we can make a connection and make sure that our audiences are following us on social, we can then gear our content to videos that relate to their everyday, right? So we're showing other events that are happening here and how they're using the venues that are our partners to populate their events. So if they're using or working together with 13 different restaurants to have their conventions spill over from day to night, we want to show that. When they're going to the Philadelphia Museum of Art and they're using it as a special event venue, we want our cameras there showing how they're outfitting that venue. So the convention, conclusion or their final party, we want to show what that looks like and not just say it. So our social team is a big part of that. In addition to that, we have digital marketing campaigns. We're advertising in a lot of B2B spaces to drum up attention to marketing. I'm sorry, to meetings. We're sponsoring podcasts. We're in, we're on the business.
What kind
journal.
of podcast? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, all kinds. We are looking at podcasts that are more in the B2B space. So, New York Times type podcasts that we've sponsored at times. We've also sponsored, different, not sponsored. We've also looked at different lookalike campaigns. So where should we be connecting the content we offer on our website to, those that look like meeting planners or those that look like key decision makers? We obviously market in a lot of the trade publications, but when it comes down to it, I think our different strategic lanes are social media, robust content with it, advertising opportunities that meet planners sort of where they don't expect us to be, right? Streaming platforms and places like YouTube. And then the third lane is how can we really lean into big promotions around big industry events where we know that there's a large gathering of the industry. And so 2 weeks from now, when we go to IMEX, our trade show booth is one story, but it's how are we making sure our messaging is penetrating the market when they step off the plane and arrive in Las Vegas, right? How can we stick out first? So, and get our message across that way. So, I think we're doing some tactical things that maybe other destinations aren't doing, but maybe they are. But, we're always hungry for understanding how can we continue the conversation that our sales team is having with these potential customers all throughout the year. So Philadelphia is top of mind.
That's neat. Now, I do want to apologize, Joe, because, I've told Adam many times not to try to solicit business to guests on the podcast in real time. So when he's asking about what podcast you sponsor, he may.
I just
may
felt
or
like
may
there
not
was
have
one
been-
missing. There was a
he
podcast
may not have
missing.
been plugging ads, but I've told you, Adam, we're not taking sponsors, man.
This is going to be like LinkedIn, right? We have a quick hello, hi, and then all of a sudden the follow-up pitch comes, huh?
Yeah. This whole
Yeah.
show is about how can we make Adam money. It's not come to fruition yet.
Just
but we're
a
trying to
quick
figure it out.
question, right? That's how they all start on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
just a quick question.
Yeah, just a quick question for you.
I wonder if you can help me answer this question. Yeah. But that's amazing. I would love to hear a little bit more about, you touched on something there about like, how do you stand out at some of these conventions? And like, I don't think we've ever done that tactic of like, can we have a presence at the airport for a major convention or something like that? But are there other things you do to try to stand out that'd be interesting?
Yeah, and look, I'll probably give some partners plugs in doing this, but we've been looking at ways to take our advertising dollars, knowing that, with things like programmatic and the evolving landscape with AI, our dollars maybe are not generating the traffic they once did, yet we still have to be the authority from a DMO standpoint to make sure that our content lands that way. So we're shifting a lot of our tactics from advertising to promotions, because I do think the wow factor tends to stick. So
Do me a favor, Joe, real quick.
Sure.
Define those two for the audience, because I think there's a lot of conflation.
Sorry, which two?
Advertising and promotions.
Okay,
What's
so
the difference
advertising
between the two?
I would call it traditional paid media or digital media. So it's banner ads, it's 30-second commercial spots on streaming, it's purchasing a flight with a trade publication, a meetings publication where we have a print ad and something on their website and they send an email for us. Promotions, I look at totally differently. Promotions, I'm starting with where are we going and what are we doing and who are the people we need to impress that are going to be there. So our IMEX journey for 2 weeks from now is, we know that, what does IMEX generate? 15,000 people, I think, something of that nature, go to that show in Las Vegas. Trade show booth, the one-to-one meetings. Let's start looking at other touch points away from there. One of the first touch points we can have is business travelers are going to look to have Wi-Fi connectivity on the plane. So what are the opportunities to serve them an ad when they're looking to subscribe to the Wi-Fi on the plane as they're going to IMEX? So we're looking at opportunities to plug into that. So again, I look at that as promotions because, yeah, it's a fundamental tactic of digital marketing, but I don't have the financial bandwidth to do that day to day. So that's sort of step one. Step two is when they arrive in Las Vegas, what kind of arrival experience can we have? And so we've been able to tap into some of their digital networks there to just message like a welcome message from Philadelphia, even though they're arriving to Vegas, right? So it's a touch point there as well. And then, step three is obviously their journey to that trade show floor. So my point is having a promotional mindset. The other tactics we've done are we've worked with a group like Carvertise, who is doing wrapped vehicles in market. And we've been able to have them be a part of a similar type of arrival or departure experience so that we're able to, have our staff say, would you like to take a free Uber ride to the airport in a Philadelphia wrapped branded car? And so it's just giving them, and that what I look at as more of a true promotion. But again, it's just not the, hey, pop up the paid media schedule. Let's have more intent behind it. And I think it's working for us.
Yeah, it's what we've talked about, Adam, on this show a lot about the shift from awareness to attention. We've had a lot of success in that. Like traditional media is sort of it is that spray and pray, just getting things in front of people that they may or may not pay attention to, right? But if we really want to get attention, we got to do things that are a little jarring or disruptive or experiential. And so one of the ones we've had a lot of success at, and we plan to continue, is at some of the major events, we'll host a pickleball tournament in the middle of the convention center floor. So there'll be like at the center of the convention center, there'll be a pickleball court that's wrapped with Visit Myrtle Beach. And it's intense, man. These people, like these meeting planners every year, are getting more and more serious. They're bringing their own paddles. They're coming in like uniforms. The winners now get like a WWE style championship belt when they move it.
That's awesome.
When they win it. And so, we've built so many really strong relationships from doing something that's that disruptive and jarring, because there's a lot of sea of sameness. If you go to one of these meetings, conventions, sort of trade shows, there's a lot of just generic booths that don't stand out. But there's some, increasingly, Philadelphia does a great job, that just try to do something a little more epic, a little more, turning it up to 11 just to stand out. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with people, right? And people are going to pay attention to things that are novel, things they like, things that stand out, things that benefit them or provide more value to them. And so it's a really good approach. I think it's one we've talked about a lot on the marketing side for leisure. We haven't really talked about on the meetings and conventions. So it's pretty cool what you guys are doing.
And kudos to you for doing that as well. I mean, that's my point, is like we're as a marketing group shifting our mindset from like what's that fun thing like you're mentioning with pickleball that's really going to embrace people, that our message gets across. But it's just not in a, and I we have great partners in the trade space, but it's not just another, ad in the middle of a magazine.
Well, and could you bring like one of the most famous Philly cheesesteak locations with you to the booth at IMEX, handing out Philly cheesesteaks, which is a great excuse to keep someone at the booth for 10 minutes while you talk to them about their event, right?
Right. We
Yeah.
did that. So we did that's my kind of running joke. We did that at PCMA in San Diego last year, and our line was outrageous at
I
lunchtime.
love that.
And I was like, when it was done, I'm like, this place feels like a Burger King in here now. Like our trade show booth felt like the remnants of like, fast food joint.
Yeah, we did that one year with airbrush painting. We had folks that we could do custom airbrushing, and I mean, people went bonkers for that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of neat ones. I saw, who was it in the Ripe? So one of your clients, or a partner you work with, Adam Ripe.
Yeah.
They're doing a thing right now at trade shows where you can get, if you take a meeting with them, you get a custom Nike shoe, and
Oh, no way.
yeah. So
I'll have to meet with them.
Yeah, I think it's for DMOs only, but like just
did
the
some-
fact, I was asking like, how much is this costing? It's like over $100 for them to per person, but you can like literally go on to a website with a code they give you and build your own custom Nike shoe, and you get it. And
Brilliant.
I just thought it was such a novel idea that gets attention. And their booth is set up at these trade shows. I just saw them at, where was it, STS, and they got like a box with a Nike shoe on it. And it's like, you have to go over and say, what's this about? Like, this is not what I expect, because usually people are giving away like luggage tags or pens or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So just
Attention.
standing out a little bit. They got my attention. Yeah.
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 I went and had a conversation for like 20 minutes. I didn't take an appointment, so I didn't get a shoe.
Yeah.
You know what? You should have thought of
Another-
me. Got me a shoe.
I
It was
think
a
that's
hat,
another
really.
area, again, for the industry to look at. Like, it's one thing to have these trade shows or big industry events for the client, but there's a huge, it just shows you how good the marketers are in our industry, right? Like, I go to IMEX, I walk away amazed at like some of the booths and the ideas that destinations, cities, countries have come up with. It like blows my mind. And when I walk around, I'm like, where are all the marketers at? These are all sales folks here. I'm like a fish out of water at these, some of these events. I'd love to get together with the marketing minds behind some of these. And I think that's an opportunity. Even PCMA, we're hosting Convening Leaders in January. I'd love to put a call out to marketers to, let's meet up and talk about like what went into, let's tell the war stories of what went into what it is you're doing on that trade show floor.
I got a random one I want to sort of float by you. It's an idea I've had for a while, but we haven't had the courage to sort of to execute it. But I'd love to get both of your feedback and see if this is a really daft idea or not. But we focus so much on the meeting planners and organizers, right? That's who we target typically, and we never really think about how do we target the audience, right? The actual attendees at these conferences. So the theory would be like, if you wanted to, like Myrtle Beach couldn't handle this, but if Philadelphia wanted to target IPW in like 2-3 years, because they're planning it 2-3 years out, could you do a campaign at the next 2 IPWs on location in wherever it is, encouraging the attendees to put pressure on the planners to do it? Like I've never seen anyone on the meeting side target the consumer versus the organizer. What do you think about that?
So I've had that thought many times. And even beyond the industry shows, I look at some of the conventions and conferences that we're trying to host well into the future.
Right.
And it's like, are you coming across genuine that like we truly want to see you in Philadelphia? Or are we treading on the destination that's done all the work to host it? And it's like, we're going to wind up pissing off our counterparts showing up. So I always wonder, like, where's the line on that? Because I feel like it's a huge opportunity to target those events. It's just how and where and sort of what are the unwritten rules of marketing around these shows that we sort of abide by. But like, I kind of agree, at what point can you start laying the groundwork for future years by leveraging the ones that are happening currently?
Yeah, and you'd have to be careful. The messaging couldn't be just like we don't run a commercial that says Myrtle Beach is better than Orlando, right? You'll have more fun and waiting fewer lines, right? We wouldn't do that publicly, although I just kind of did. But you'd have to be careful you're not treading on them and saying, "Hey, I'm glad you're in Chicago this year, but if you tell these people Philadelphia would be way better in 2 years or whatever." So you'd have to be careful. But go ahead,
Stuart,
Adam. You were going to say
I
something.
I think you're illustrating here why there's a critical difference between B2B and B2C marketing. And I actually would really like to spend a little bit of time in this discussion talking about that. But the problem with what you're suggesting here in my mind is we do B2C marketing consistently, and the goal is to get them to book a trip, right? And so an individual person booking a trip, maybe you're looking at an average spend of $2,500 per person in total economic impact. Maybe it's more, I don't know. But what you're asking them to do, we have a hard time getting the metrics to work on that. And so now if you're leveraging your B2B budget to get some of the consumers that are coming to the event to take an action as significant as asking the event holder when there's not really any benefit to them other than maybe they want to come to the destination, I have a hard time imagining that having an impact when the harsh reality is a lot of event holders and decision makers in B2B situations anyway are going to make the decision based on their expectations and desires in a lot of cases. And I'm not saying you can't sway that, but I think the metrics to get that to actually sway an event to get to your destination are going to be difficult to connect.
Which is why we haven't done it, right? That exact
Yeah.
thing. Like, is the juice worth the squeeze? You know, the most effective way to get a meeting convention is to get the planners to come to your destination and wine and dine them. And it's not just about the assets you have and doing a fam tour. It's about building the relationship, because we're all in the relationship game. And if an organizer feels really comfortable working with your team and knowing that you're going to have their back, they're a lot more likely. If we can get someone to come to Myrtle Beach, 9 out of 10, we're going to get that thing. But how do we get those folks to consider us, right? It's that consideration. And sometimes even because part of me wonders if we did a kind of campaign where it was like a fun, tongue-in-cheek way of trying to get the attendees to lobby for Myrtle Beach as a next destination, would the organizers would see it as well. So are you also planting the seed in there? It's like almost an inception thing. Like they feel like people are going to lobby for it, so they sort of they preempt it. So I don't know. It's about building relationships at the end of the day. But
one of the things we learned, we have a customer advisory board of made up of all types of different sectors of the meetings industry and conventions industry. It's about 20 people. One of the biggest things they told me was it's helpful to them when we draw a solid line down the middle of how we market. The first part being you're marketing to me because you're trying to get our event to your destination. And then on the other side is I've already booked, but I'm not coming for 3 years. So help me prime the pump to get my attendees excited about coming there. And so, I think that's, and we're being called upon more and more and more times now, especially post-COVID, to say like, hey, help us build attendance for the event coming to your market. And so again, as marketers, we're shifting from trying to get an event here. Now it's like, try to fill my event. And then it's try to get the event back for a future year. So it's an interesting sales cycle.
Yeah. The expectations have certainly shifted post-COVID. We've become more of a promoter and even an executor and a logistics organizer in some cases for some of these. And it's not where we really want to spend our time, but if it gets the job done, we get the business, then we're happy to do it for sure.
Yeah.
Have either of you ever worked in marketing for a SaaS company or had to build strategies for a SaaS company? And software as a service, for those that might be listening and don't know, that's what SaaS is. Their marketing strategies are really interesting because, and this is where in B2B, I think this is one of the most important things that everyone needs to understand. In B2B, there's a finite list of people that you can sell to. And if you burn through those leads too fast with a cold calling strategy, for example, what you actually risk is damaging the relationship to the point where they're not going to want to bring their event to your destination because you irritated them with your 17th cold call, right? Or the LinkedIn message that said just a quick question. So what SaaS companies do is they try to feed as many leads into their CRM as they can, right? And then they will leverage a variety of different types of content to provide value to those leads and build a relationship with the people who are in their CRM over time. And they try to identify the interests of those leads based on their activity, what they engage with, and leverage that to continue to send them more and more relevant information until they actually are ready to convert. And based on content people interact with, you can actually see where they're at in some cases in the buying cycle. And through lead scoring, you can actually say, okay, this person has opened 3 emails and gone to our website 5 times. Oh, and they got to the square footage page on our convention center or whatever. It's
Mhm.
time to give them a call. And now salespeople are calling when the leads are a little bit warmer. And I've just seen that on the SaaS side be so effective. I've
Mhm.
always felt like I would love to see Destinations market a little more like a SaaS company on the B2B side.
And I think they do maybe more than you realize. It's certainly not as advanced. I came from an agency that had SaaS products like booking engines and CRM and mobile apps and stuff. So that's exactly what we did. I mean, that's why we started the Fuel podcast. That was my first podcast, right? It was the same thing. We were trying to build relationships with people, and we were trying to understand pain points and provide solutions and value for whatever they needed. And I think it is the same. There's Simple View is one of the biggest products and the biggest companies in our space right now. I think Granicus owns them, but I don't know a single sales team in the industry that doesn't lean on that product in some form or fashion to do part of what you're talking about. Now,
Yeah.
is it as sophisticated where we're providing value and education and resources that you're talking about that SaaS companies do? Maybe not. But I think some are trying to do that more. I know we are certainly trying to do that more because you're right. It is about building and nurturing long-term relationships because we all know that a lot of planners and organizers, it's cyclical, right? They might not want to come to my destination every year, but maybe I can get them to where we're on the rotation every 3 or 4 or 5 years, and that's beneficial. So I do think it happens. At least it does in our office. I just don't think it's quite as sophisticated as technology companies have been. But that's part of the problem in our industry. We're
Yeah.
behind everyone else. I don't know. How
I,
about
I
you,
think
Joe? Do you guys
Yeah.
operate that way?
Yeah, I can relate. Very similar, simple view as well. But I think one of the successes I've seen that tends to work, and again, fits Adam's example exactly, is that when we look at sort of what's our say our newsletter, right? It was all Philadelphia content. To a certain extent, if you're not in the market to potentially even
Yeah.
start to have a conversation here, it's fallen on deaf ears. So we've pivoted some of the content offerings we've had to be like, hey, let's be a little more generic. Even though this event took place at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, let's focus in on how this meeting was a sustainable meeting, right? Like, what was the
Hmm.
experience like that's applicable not just here in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
but in other markets elsewhere.
bingo.
And so, that we've seen has gotten a little more traction. As I mentioned, the customer advisory board, like they were able to recite, like, hey, I remember a piece of content that you shared with us that we thought was really strong. But same thing. It's like exactly what you're mentioning. And even in my past life, when I worked at the Wells Fargo Center, like you're selling premium suites, right? Like the market is not the general population. It's small businesses, it's corporations. Same kind of thing. You can't over pepper them with messaging either. They're only going to be interested in buying so many times, so many games for a suite. So how are you speaking to them in between to at least pique interest and be relevant? I think it's a very similar B2B strategy there.
Yeah, it's about helping, not selling, right? Providing value, building trust, it's all that. When I was in the agency world, one of my mentors told me once, it's like every time you go to a meeting, take a gift, not a physical gift necessarily, although sometimes it was, but like a pearl of wisdom, a secret or a piece of information they don't have, or trick or tip or tactic or something that they're going to leave that meeting saying, oh, I'm glad I went to that meeting. Beyond the purpose of the meeting, I'm glad I went because I got that whatever value it was. And so I think taking that approach with communications is essential. Like if you're just sending out information because it benefits you to to push it out, you're doing it wrong. You've got to always be obsessed with the customer, whoever it is you're serving, and think about what is it they want. That pivot that you're mentioning, Joe, away from just talking about Philadelphia and being promotional to being helpful and saying, hey, these are the latest trends that we're seeing in the people that are coming here. It goes from you saying, you have to come to Philadelphia to them making the decision, oh, I need to go to Philadelphia. And that is genius. That's way more gravity that you're going to create in the decisions set. So amazing. This is great. We're getting close to time though. Is there any other stone unturned that you wanted to get off your chest? This is a therapy session for you as well, Joe. So if there's anything you
No,
want to get off your chest.
I think I touched on a lot of them. I think just, again, just sort of challenge the norm. And I would love to see what this industry looks like, especially in the meeting side in 5 years. I think we've had this like COVID impact of mass gatherings sort of looming over us for a while. And I think we've now sort of broke free from that. So I'd love to see, how competitive this industry can be, but at the same time, how we can all sort of help each other out and again, appreciate good marketing tactics, appreciate big ideas that work and not be afraid to share what went into that level of thinking, because I do think, this industry is primed for a little disruption when it comes to that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think our industry could be more collaborative between these sort of departments. It's interesting that you guys are separate, but you sort of work together with the marketing team on like the branding and stuff like that. So having a single voice, but these people we're talking about that are coming for meetings and conventions or sports tournament, whatever, it's the same people that could potentially come for a vacation, right? And vice versa. The people coming for vacations probably go to some, a large chunk of them probably go to meetings and conventions and sports tournaments every year. And so these aren't mutually exclusive audiences. We need to figure out ways that we can sort of cross-pollinate more. I think we haven't always done a great job of that, but it's something we're trying to work on. And part of our restructuring will help us to address some of that. So this has been
I think
great.
the other thing too is just internally under the same roof, sales and marketing department, same deal, right? The closer you can get those two engines of the organization to work together, the better. And I've seen places where they definitely don't. I've been fortunate in my career. The heads of sales have been some of my best friends, in my working career. And that has made life a lot easier when it comes to how we're having the best interest of both focuses.
Yeah. Your head of marketing, your head of sales have to be really have a great working relationship, and whether they become BFFs or not, I think it's important that they respect each other and include each other in a lot of those conversations.
For sure.
It's great. Adam, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, for those that maybe feel a little unprepared on the B2B side and haven't got a lot of education on the B2B side, I know everybody uses, or a lot of people use Simple View as their CRM, but there's a lot of technology companies out there who have provided really amazing educational tools for marketers, especially B2B marketers. I would look at HubSpot. I would look at a couple of different SaaS tools like that serve the B2B space. Salesforce is another one. And they've got really solid how-to kind of soup to nuts B2B marketing education that can really help you build a plan that'll be effective in the meeting space. So I would suggest anybody that's listening, take advantage of their marketing strategy, which is to provide you value and education, and HubSpot has some certifications you can go through, and it'll really help you get a little more, I would say, advanced on the B2B side.
Are you trying to get a sponsorship from HubSpot now? Is that now that Joe turned us down?
Well, I mean, what I want is a bidding war between HubSpot and Salesforce. And so you need to make sure you give equal love to those two until somebody signs on the dotted line.
That sounds good. I also think AI is a great opportunity for the sales team, right? The folks that are B2B, because a lot of what we should be doing should be very personal, but it can be labor intense. Like we've seen as an example, when you have a video in an intro email, the open rates, the engagement rates go up, your conversion rates go up, but that's time consuming and costly. But now with AI tools like Descript, right, you could record one welcome message, and without having to record anything else, you could customize that message. So for people that don't know what Descript is, you can upload a video and it creates a transcript that you can actually edit and AI will automatically update the video so your mouth and the words sound in your voice like you said whatever you type. And so you could say, hey, we're really glad Adam Stoker with the Brand Revolt. But you could, without having to record another video, you could say Joe Heller. So there are tools out there.
Yeah.
I think AI can probably benefit the sales team as much, if not more, than the marketing team. And typically, sales folks aren't the most tech forward folks. So I think investing in your organization, educating the sales team to make sure that they are taking advantage of those tools is critical.
Yeah,
I
if
was
you've
just
ever
gonna say
felt
that.
like Stuart sounds smart on this podcast, just know that he uses Descript to edit the show.
That's funny.
But
Joe, do you have
that's
one
a
other
role
thing?
I do think that's a role marketing can play. You're right. Sometimes
Yeah.
sales is a little bit like, well, that's a marketing thing. You're like, no, it's a sales tactic, and let me show you how. So,
Yeah.
certainly speak up. That'd be an encouragement of the marketing team I would certainly share.
Yeah, I mean, everything from prospecting to customizing communications, everything in between AI makes that easier and more personable today than it did. So, thank you guys. Joe, if they want to reach out to you and learn more about Discover Philadelphia, how can they do that?
Pretty active on LinkedIn. So Joe Heller, my personal profile's flipped Heller Joe. Somebody got it before me. So, but happy to connect there.
Great. Adam, how about you?
Adam at thebrandrevolt.com, LinkedIn, or find me on Tourism IQ.
And you can find me at stuart.butler at visitmyrtlebeach.com. And please leave a review. We've had a couple of comments. I know like the usual suspects, like Nate and Jacob are in the comments on Spotify, but we'd love to get some more reviews on Apple. So if you guys are listening and you're enjoying the show, drop us a 5-star review, leave a comment. Adam will read it out on the show in an English accent. It's going to be amazing. So until next time.
I'm going to go leave a review just for that reason.
Awesome.
I listen on Apple, so I'll pop
It
it
might
up
sound a
on there.
little doffed.
And share it with a friend. Tell your friends this is a show that we're trying to help elevate the industry, move the industry forward faster, and be better tomorrow than we were today. So until next time, this has been Destination Discourse.
Thanks, everybody.